What is going on, YouTube? My name is Mercer Predicts, and today we've been given the first news of Football Manager 2014. As you can see, this is a little screenshot I captured for you guys. Football Manager was announced today, and there's a quick few things I want to run past before I go into the screenshots. Firstly, there will be a beta next year. It will have 2 weeks before, just like I did Football Manager 2013. And there will also be teasers, series coming out from the 19th of August every day on Twitter on weekdays, and I will be sure to update you guys. There will be no podcast, but there will be teasers. So let's get on to the screenshots. Football Manager 2014 is out, guys. Now, I don't know if there's how much can they do to this game. I don't know, but he can see it looks like a new transfer system. I'm just going to talk through what I see and what I think about it. It looks like here they're making an offer and you try and haggle with the opponent's team. Obviously, you're trying to buy a player from Stevenage in this situation. It's sort of the same way as the contract system, how it used to work, or how it does still work today in Football Manager 2013. You make an offer and they come back to you, and they'll say whether it feels acceptable or not. In this screenshot for Luke Freeman, it looks like they have rejected the offer, and clearly they've bid under the value. His potential value in the bottom corner says 460,000, and as you can see, they've added 400,000 monthly instalments. You see loan back length. You see it's they've added a new feature there. You can see loan back. If you look in real life, Wilfred Zaha was a Crystal Palace player. He went to Man United, and Man United loaned him back for the rest of the season. So it looks like they've incorporated a lot of stuff that's happened in real life, and it looks like a good idea, and I can't wait. You can see there's new instructions now. This is opposition instructions before a game, obviously. What can I read into this? It looks really confusing, in my opinion. It looks like they've split into new different tasks like possession, distribution, movement, and defending. But the Reds, see, it looks really weird. So I think the game, they're trying to show you that if you try and click dribble more, it's going to conflict. You can't have dribble more and dribble less at the same time. Conflicting means it's in the Reds, so that means it won't work properly. But looks at this screenshot, we have a training screenshot where you ask a player. This is like a feedback from backroom advice. So it looks like they've added backroom advice where you get from the staff based on players. Instead of getting a single training advice, you get everything from this backroom staff. And it looks like this is advice from a coach. So you got a training coach, you got a tactics coach, you got a man management coaching feedback, and you've also got player status and what he believes and how he's feeling. Here's a screenshot of putting a player onto new training duties. You can see when he's a deep defensive midfielder, this is for Moore. His instructions are fewer risky passes and get further forward. So this looks like it could be incorporated as what he's good at, so you can understand how he plays. If you go onto Football Manager tabs nowadays, you can click what you want to see and how the player performs. You can see in the selection he's been chosen as a defensive midfielder in the bottom right corner, and he's shown his stats as a defensive midfielder. Here's Cox's training report. So AFC Women's assistant manager Neil Cox has provided some feedback on how players have been training over the past month. By the looks of it, he's given impressive performances, and instead of actually giving you a block of text, he said he's been most improved for Charlie Sheringham in fitness. So you can see this, obviously, like probably the start of the season they're doing fitness training. You can also see he's been focusing on penalties. This is a kind of way where you can actually change your training settings at the start of the month and look to improve on a player's settings, which is a really good idea. I like that, because training players in different positions and different roles is not as easy as it used to be, or it is easy now, but it's never as easy to find. And it looks like at the start of the month you get given a report and what you want to improve training on, and you get to take turns. You can do escalate different months and choose which you want to do. Private chats look more of the same. Peter Sweeney's getting like tutor time. He's having a tough time. I'd really appreciate if you can have a word with him. So this is like the captain of the club, and it looks really helpful there, because like obviously an experienced member of the squad, you're gonna have a quiet word with a youth player. That could be really useful in the game. Season expectations, this looks new. This is for Watford. The minimum expectation is the team win promotion from the Sky Bet Championship this season. That could be something to look into, because obviously in real life Watford lost in the playoff final. But it looks like you have two different budgets, promotion and winner. Instead of like having the two options in a tab, you have the block options in front of you. That could be also interesting to look at. Obviously there's not a lot that Football Manager can do nowadays to make it improved and look better. All they've said is they've improved the contract negotiations and transfer negotiations, what they've stand out for, and they've also improved dealing with players and interactions. And you can see here, this is a Jordan Scout report. Instead of getting a block of players, you're getting actually a look at the player's potential ability and the current ability on the home screen for your inbox. That looks pretty interesting and intriguing to look at. I mean, the end of the day, this is still the same thing, but they're trying to make it look more appealing to the viewer, to the player and to the user, making sure that they can see. And obviously, some users are unaware of how to negotiate around the Football Manager. You can see there's an offer here from Jordan Shaffer's probably been circulated 30-year-olds. Attacking midfielder. So this is his agent trying to find him a new club. Instead of actually having to click on the player here, you can see the player's stats, and you get to highlight key attributes for the role. So that looks like, you know, that there's not, like I said, Football Manager 2014 is going to be very similar to Football Manager 2013, like how Football Manager 2013 was similar to Football Manager 2012. But they've got to make the game, they've got to improve on certain feedback that they get. On the SI forums, there's often feedbacks. This is actually Football Manager Classic by the looks of it, and this looks interesting. Football Manager Classic, they've changed it, they're adding match plans in now. You get to, so obviously this is probably during a game. Match plans allow you to set up preset tactics for your assistant to use during matches. These tactics can be applied to different situations depending on what is happening during the match. You can create your own match plan by create new button. So if you click instant result, if you're winning, they'll add a new say he'll make a sub in the last 5 minutes, or he'll go to a new formation or a new counter formation. There's a match plan creator now, so you can play for the draw. Obviously, you had the option underneath the instant result where you click instant result and you get presented with a match plan, and you can see you can play for the draw, settle for the draw. So you can have a template. You choose a defensive approach, an attacking approach. It's all depending on what's going on in the game. So they're adding new variables into FM Classic. So obviously, loads of people like the new FM Classic. It's a streamlined version. It's for people that can't play Football Manager as much, or they just want a simple version because it's too complicated. And this looks like they're trying to, maybe it could overcomplicate Football Manager Classic. First impression, maybe it could, but you never know. As you can see here, you interact with the board more often now. So I think the current transfer budget is acceptable, and don't need to think. Don't need, and see any need for it to change at the present time. Are there any other areas you'd like to touch upon? So it's kind of in the way that they're looking like they're contacting you. Now that's interesting. The board can contact you and see what you want to do about it, and that might be interesting to look at, I suppose. There's another message here saying, are there any other areas you wish to look upon? I would like to make a request to the boards. What would you like to request from us? I would like to, because the board consider improving the training facilities. We believe the training facilities are more suitable for the club at this time, and are therefore unwilling to agree that. See, it's more of the same, but they're just trying to change the words around slightly, guys. And you can see the philosophies from the board here. Obviously, when you sign a contract for the club, they're going to say what they agree on with you and what they want you to do. And it looks like they're trying to help out with the user and help explain the facilities of the clubs and what they believe in and what you have to do to impress the board. The transfer screen looks more of the same. You got the accept button, you got the reject button. You can see their clauses, what that's been offered. Again, it's all work in progress, guys. So there's nothing that's nailed on. But normally when they release screenshots, this is what the game will look like. So I'm looking quite forward to the game, I have to say. This is just me giving my opinion on them, and I want to know what you guys think of it. So in the comments below, I want you to let me know what you think of the new features. We've still got a little bit of a way to go. There's a lot of screenshots announced, and we're back to this transfers page here. You see, obviously, often a deal. One thing I noticed from this page is that you can set your budget from here. You can interact with the board. They can deal with it. I don't know. The game, it looks pretty good. It looks intriguing to see what will happen, and that's what they've kind of their main standpoint is, that you can interact with clubs to negotiate deals nowadays, and that looks interesting. I mean, transfers, we'll see. I mean, I can't wait for the beta to come out now. You've got more opposition instructions here. Obviously, if you just get presented with a box, you tick, 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 and you can see if it's conflicting, it's highlighted in red, which means it won't work sufficiently, and if it's green, it means it's good to go. So obviously, you can't have more direct passing as well as shorter passing at the same time, guys, because direct passing conflicts shorter passing. Direct is getting the ball forward quickly as possible. Shorter passing, you know, it's conflicting each other, and it's not getting down to the basics of the game, and it's basically asking the team to do two things when you can only do one. Training, they've changed training, guys. So match training, this is the match training screen by the looks of it, the overview screen. You can obviously see that you've got the match training screen, you've got the match training section, you've got the calendar on the top, which looks interesting. You've got next match where you can do for the tactics, so they've only done it one by one for tactics now, instead of actually saying a pre-match preparation, instead of actually saying you can plan for next month, you actually got one game at a time. General training focus, you've got also squad training happiness, so you can look into that, and you get pie charts. Obviously, understanding that one player's upset is one thing, but if you've got 4 or 5 players upset, you may not be aware of that. So at least this way you get to see how many players are upset and how many players disagree. Here you can see the same player more in this situation is being tried as advanced playmaker, and you've seen how he works exactly. You know, it's understanding more about the player. It looks like they've changed the interfaces to make it appeal more to you, and it's more easier to understand. And I think that's a good idea from SI Sports Interactive. You know, they want the game to be more clearer and easier to understand. They don't want to overcomplicate all the stuff, all the new features they're implementing. And a lot of these screenshots suggest to me that they clearly want to make sure their interface is up to date and looks really appealing to the user on the game. It looks similar to Football Manager 13, I have to say. I mean, there's nothing that really sticks out to me when you look at the interface that feels like brand new. It feels like Football Manager 2013, but that's what you're going to get, unfortunately. They can't make a brand new game and new features every single week. Here's another training report that I mentioned to you guys. There's backroom advice for a player instead of just backroom advice in general. And I'm intrigued by this, I really am, because obviously you're going to have certain managers or certain assistant manager or certain coach fixed to a certain area of the training, tactics, man management, and this could help you out. Instead of actually just getting one advice for one player, you actually get the advice for the player in all different situations. It may not be necessary for that player at the time, like you see the tactics. There's currently have no tactical advice, but it's also really helpful, and I think it could be interesting to see. The scouting team welcomes you to Watford, so obviously this is the start of the game for you when you're at Watford, and you get you get the scouting report as you always do in Football Manager 2013, but they're trying to make it again a bit more interesting and a bit more intriguing for the user to look at and have a gander of, basically. And I think that's again a good idea, increasing the interface, making it look better and just more appealing. So obviously I'm intrigued to see how new skins come out and what people do to edit that. You got the pre-match stuff, obviously. You got the favourites for the game. You've got your odds given. You get just a new text. They try and make it interesting, and you know, it's just pre-match news, and it's basically on the build up to the match day and understanding. You know, it's all pretty much the same. And like I said, you can't change too much in Football Manager. They've had the pre-match news stuff since Football Manager. I can't remember, Football Manager 2005 maybe. And I certainly wouldn't want that to go away, because I like knowing who's the favourites of the game. It looks like you get match report now with more of an idea of how your team plays as well. So this is AFC Wimbledon Hull Stevenage, a draw. You get a match report, looks like more detailed, more understandable. If you perhaps play an FM Classic, you may not understand what exactly happened in the game. You also get the amount of shots you had, you get the player of the match if your player was the player of the match, and also the possession stats for yourself. Now, people don't often look into stats too much of the game, so this is a streamed version of it to understand people that people that just have a simplified version. Here we have a new system for contract negotiations. You can see the contract is split into two bits. You've got the bonuses, the clause, or three bits, I should say, bonus clauses, and obviously the bog standard. So by looks of it, they've implemented an unused substitute fee. So if it looks like you get more if you're on the bench. That's interesting. Unused substitute fee. That's something really new I've never ever noticed before, and that's intriguing for the new game. Obviously, clean sheet bonus is already there. You can see you get this is just a bog standard game, not even FM Classic. This is obviously the roundup of the transfer window. Every week you get an update. Kevin Davis wins Player of the Month accolade, so you get the news this week. And that's obviously, if you're in this situation, it just gives you updates, and it's just like around the clubs, basically, sort of thing. Top news stories around in League One. It's Sky Bet League One news. It looks interesting. That's pretty new. Obviously, the news page, I've never really looked into the news page too often. Now, this is a good one, guys. This is interactive board. The board are pleased with you. They've taken time to attend today. There are a few questions we'd like to ask you. If you are the manager, we want to take the club forward. You get interviewed before the job, guys. Now that's interesting. So they're going to say, if given a job, what do you tend to do? What philosophies do you tend to adopt? And obviously you want to try and make sure you apply to their philosophies listed on the far right corner. Now, I'm intrigued about this. I can't wait to try it out in the beta when it comes out 2 weeks before the game. Transfer deadline day looks like it's been implemented into FM Classic now. So you've got the time remaining in the window, high deadline day info. You know, deadline day info looks more interesting now in the FM Classic, because they didn't have it before. It was just the same as it was in Football Manager 2012, where you can just click continue. The game will slow up, but it won't necessarily have transfer deadline that the yellow bar it has here. I mean, transfer deadline days are great implementation for Football Manager 2013. They looks like they've furthered it in Football Manager 14, so that's very good to look forward to. Here's another screenshot of the match plan creator again, and you see it's an introduction. The match plan creator allows the user to set up a plan for their backroom staff to implement team tactics according to how a match unfolds. So you get to, if you're winning 3-0 at 75 minutes, take a player off or go defensive. If you're winning 1-0, take a player off or go counter. You know, it's just different ways of understanding the game. So that is the end of the screenshots and a 15-minute video for you guys. Now, let me know what you think in the comments below and what features you look forward to most. I'm intrigued about getting interviewed before a job. That's for me as a standout. I will be talking more about it in the future. I will probably go into more in depth for that. I think it's definitely a good feature from SI to implement. And that is the end of a screenshot analysis for Football Manager 2014. Guys, FM14 has been announced, so that means it's only a couple months away. Hopefully they get released in October because they've announced it a bit earlier, and I can't wait. So guys, thank you so much for watching today, and take care. Bye bye.